What's up, y'all? This is Jonathan Lippy of Beyond the Harmony, beyondtheharmony.com. And today is my final testimony, my closing statements, part 5 for my case for Bone Thugs-n-Harmony, titled, Bone Thugs Are a Top 10 Rap Group of All Time. Now, before we ask if Bone Thugs-n-Harmony belong in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, we have to first ask, are Bone Thugs-n-Harmony in the top 10 rap groups of all time? In the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, there are 13 different rap acts. 6 of them are rap groups, 7 are solo artists. The 6 rap groups are Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5, Run DMC, Beastie Boys, Public Enemy, NWA, and the newest entrant, Tribe Called Quest. I know what you're thinking. The next question would be, well, okay, what is the criteria to determine the top 10? And my answer is, well, that's why I made the previous 4 videos outlining the achievements of Bone Thugs-n-Harmony, because everyone's going to have an argument for their favorite group. So I'm recapping the highlights of the statistics that I presented in the previous videos, all accumulated into one single thing here. As far as awards go, 2 Grammys, 1 for the Crossroads and 1 for Ridin Dirty with Chamillionaire. 2 American Music Awards in 1997 and 2007. The 1997 Soul Train Award. 1 MTV Music Award. 1 Blockbuster Entertainment Award. They were nominated for others from those. Nominated for the Source Awards. Nominated for Billboard Awards. The Crossroads was the fastest growing single. In 1995, E.1999 Eternal had the highest first week sales of the year, beating out Tupac, Me Against the World, Too Short Cocktails, Raekwon's Cuban Links, Dogg Pound's Dog Food, Cypress Hill, and others. As far as statistics go, over 200 albums in their universe, and that means group albums, solo albums, mixtapes, Mo Thugs, Seven Sign, The Life, collabo albums like Bone Brothers, etc. They have over 300 music videos, which indirectly implies they have 300 singles. They have over 2,000 officially released songs and countless collaborations, countless unreleased material. They've done 30 straight years releasing new music, 30 years of touring, including international. And they probably would have done more international travel if Busy and Flesh would be able to get the passports. They have at least 16 significant original songs for original motion picture soundtracks, which, if you think about that, that's enough for them to make an album of just songs that were on soundtracks. They have over 115 different songs with over 1 million streams each just on YouTube. And to put that into context, some groups don't even have 115 songs in their entire catalog. Bone has 115 individual different songs with over 1 million plays each. And many of them came out before YouTube existed, so that means people went back over 1 million times to hear these songs. That is astounding. And that's just on YouTube. I didn't count Spotify and other platforms. And I bring this up to negate any argument of them creating filler garbage. They do have some filler, but they also have 115 songs that have platinum plays. That means a lot of people liked a lot of their songs. That tells you they're not the one-hit wonder with only the Crossroads that the narrative wants you to believe. You know, most groups have a single disc of greatest hits, and the biggest groups also have a best of. Bone has 115 songs with 1 million streams on YouTube. That's the equivalent of 7 to 11 greatest hits best of albums, depending on how many tracks per album you put. It's like the equivalent of a 10-disc greatest hits. They have between 15 and 50 million records sold worldwide, depending on who you ask and how you ask it. E.1999 Eternal sold over 5 million copies worldwide. They have 9 platinum albums: Creeping on a Come Up, E.1999 Eternal, Art of War, BTH Resurrection, Mo Thug Family Scriptures, Thug Mentality 99, Heaven's Movie, The Bone Collection Volume 1, and Greatest Hits. They have 4 gold albums: Strength and Loyalty, Mo Thug Family Reunion, The Collection Volume 2, and Flesh and Bone THUGS. They have 6 gold singles, Thuggish Ruggish Bone, First of the Month, Days of Our Lives, If I Could Teach the World, Breakdown with Mariah Carey, and Ghetto Cowboy. They have 4 platinum singles: The Crossroads, Look Into My Eyes, I Tried, and Ridin' Dirty with Chamillionaire. So that's 10 singles that are either gold or platinum. They've acted in multiple movies. They've been in many documentaries, tons of documentaries about them. They have songs with deceased legends like Tupac, Notorious B.I.G., Eazy-E, Big Pun, and DMX. They have songs with musical icons like Mariah Carey, Phil Collins, Akon, Ice Cube, will.i.am, Montel Jordan, Chamillionaire, E40, Bobby Brown, Kanye West, Swizz Beatz, Reverend Run, Fat Joe, The Game, Dub C, Twista, 3-6 Mafia, AK of Do or Die, The Dogg Pound, The Outlaws, Dionne Warwick, TQ, Jermaine Dupri, The Brat, Bow Wow, Yolanda Adams, Adina Howard, Aaron Hall, Gerald Levert, Sade, Snoop Dogg, Wiz Khalifa, Tretch of Naughty by Nature, 8Ball and MJG, The Marley Brothers, Ty Dolla $ign, MGK, ASAP Ferg, DJ Khaled, Insane Clown Posse, Eve, Tech Nine, Master P, and No Limit, and others. They were one of the big groups of the 1996 to 1998 trend that had famous, iconic double CDs. They had The Art of War to compete against All Eyes on Me, Life After Death, Wu-Tang Forever, and TRU, True to the Game. They have hundreds, if not thousands, of collaboration songs. They've made thousands of independent artists' dreams come true by doing collaboration songs with them, which they were the first to do it with people that weren't industry. All right, so now I told you about the 9 platinum, 4 gold albums that they have. And keep that in mind as we examine if Bone belongs in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and belongs in the top 10 groups of all time. So now, with those statistics in your mind, let's re-examine that top 10 list again. So number 1, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5, 2, Run DMC, 3, Beastie Boys, 4, Public Enemy, 5, NWA, 6, Tribe Called Quest. Those are the 6 in the Hall of Fame. I'm going to remove Grandmaster Flash because I think if you ask 99% of the people, they're going to see that as an honorary inventor of hip-hop. It's similar like if we saw Sugar Hill Gang on that list. I don't have Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5 in my top 10. I recognize their contributions, but I don't think they're a top 10 group of all time. But I do understand why they are in the Hall of Fame. With Grandmaster Flash out of the way, let's examine if Bone is better than the 5 others in the Hall of Fame first. So Run DMC, I'm leaving them there as the most iconic rap group of all time. They were the flagship rap group when I was a kid, and so I have them ahead of Bone. They are the OG rappers of them all. There's groups that were before Run DMC, but Run DMC were the ones that made rap as we know it in 1983 with the song Sucker MCs, as the legend of the narrative goes. Number 2, Beastie Boys. They had an undeniable impact and a cult fan base, and they belong ahead of Bone. 3, Public Enemy. Public Enemy, to me, is iconic as the epitome of the essence, heart, and soul of hip-hop, the brand name. But I think their overall popularity is greater than their musical contribution. But I acknowledge Public Enemy has more weight to the overall culture of hip-hop than Bone. So Public Enemy can be ahead of Bone. NWA, arguably the greatest family tree of any music genre, they belong ahead of Bone. Even with their limited catalog, the impact of NWA shaped the world forever after. 5, A Tribe Called Quest. It's questionable to me that Tribe Called Quest would make the Hall of Fame before Bone, Wu-Tang, or Outkast, but they're in, and they made it in before Bone, so I'll acknowledge that they probably are a top 10 group, as they are iconic and loved by all. But just so you know that when I say Tribe at 5, to make it work for me, it includes Leaders of the New School as part of that, as Scenario is probably their most famous song, and Busta Rhymes and Charlie Brown shined on that song along with Q-Tip and Phife Dawg. One of my childhood friends, Tribe Called Quest and Wu-Tang, are his 2 favorite groups of all time, so this is not out of the realm of possibility for Tribe being in the top 10, being in the Hall of Fame. I could live with it, I acknowledge it. There was a time period where you could go up to a gazillion skateboarders and they would all say that Tribe Called Quest is their favorite rap group. So I get it. I'm okay with it. However, I offer this challenge to you. You could go up to, let's just say, 100 hip hop fans and ask them to name 10 songs by Tribe Called Quest. And I bet they couldn't do it. And the same goes for Public Enemy, which is even more surprising, being that Public Enemy is so famous and so appreciated and so acknowledged. I bet you couldn't name 10 Public Enemy songs off the top of your head. Now, you might argue, well, the same goes for Bone Thugs and Harmony there, Johnny boy. But the facts don't lie. They have 4 platinum singles, 6 gold singles, which makes a total of 10. And keep in mind, Notorious Thugs was not a single and is not on that list, and nor was For the Love of Money. So I just named 12 songs that everyone should know, not counting the song E.1999. Those certified singles, once again, The Crossroads, Look Into My Eyes, I Tried, Ridin' Dirty, Thuggish Ruggish Bone, First of the Month, Days of Our Lives, If I Could Teach the World, Breakdown, and Ghetto Cowboy. 10 certified gold and platinum singles. So with the acceptance of Run DMC, Beastie Boys, Public Enemy, NWA, and Tribe Called Quest, that leaves us 5 spots. Now, to be fair, I think we have to put one female group on that list. And it's understated the impact that Salt and Peppa has made upon American culture, hip hop, and expanding the hip hop rap audience to females and female issues. They are almost in a league of their own. But I'll have Salt and Peppa at number 6 because, well, they've been part of my life since I was 7 years old in 1986. So at number 6, I'm putting Salt and Peppa. Now we have 4 spots left. The very first group that comes to mind for number 7 is Wu-Tang Clan. Wu-Tang has got to be on this list. And as I said, that Run DMC was the flagship rap group. I think for the 90s and going forward, Wu-Tang is synonymous with hip hop. And it's probably what comes to every hip hopper's mind when they think of hip hop, like the essence of hip hop. Wu-Tang is hip hop. And I'm not even an active fan of them, but I acknowledge Wu-Tang is like the East Coast version of the Bone Enterprise. Wu-Tang is top 10. And when I say that, just know that Wu includes all of the solo albums, the Gravediggers, the Wu Satellites, their entire family tree. I would even extend that out to Redman as well for the Method Man Redman albums, even though I know Redman is part of Def Squad and all that. But Wu-Tang is definitely top 10. It's undeniable. If you deny Wu-Tang in the top 10, it's just not plausible. So for number 8, I have Outkast. Outkast has got to be in the top 10. Many top 10, top 25, top 50 lists have Outkast at number 1. They have the best-selling rap album of all time with Speakerboxxx, The Love Below. And you know what's crazy about that is that album, which is the best-selling rap album of all time, it's not even a top 3 to Outkast fans in their catalog. You know, I think people would say it's Aquemini, ATLians, Stankonia, or Southern Playlistic before Speakerboxxx Love Below. It's a bizarre thing. Hey Ya, that went all around the world and solidified Outkast permanently into the top 10. They will be in the top 10 forever, and they belong in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The contributions Outkast has made for hip hop to cross genres and to unite the world and to unite music fans. There's not too many people you come across that don't like Outkast. And I'm going to include Goody Mob along with the Dungeon Family with Outkast for this nomination, much like the NWA nomination included Ice Cube and Dr. Dre's careers. And when I mentioned Wu-Tang earlier, that includes all of everything Wu-Tang. So now we get to number 9. And I think 9 is the right spot for Bone Thugs and Harmony. I'm placing Bone at 9. Hip hoppers, especially East Coast hip hoppers, are going to scoff at this positioning. But earlier in this video, if you examine, again, the statistics I presented above and compare it against any group you want to say is better than Bone that is not already above Bone in this list, Bone is top 10. 9 platinum albums, 4 gold albums. That is significant. And some of the names I'm going to name after this, you may think are more hip-hop iconic, but I just don't know if the statistics and longevity is there to back any of them over Bone. And again, my position for Bone is the entirety of the body of work, the longevity, the statistical supremacy. There's just so much behind Bone to not have them in the top 10. I mean, these guys continuously to this day in 2025 are able to tour and fill venues. Bone Thugs and Harmony is top 10. As for number 10, to fill out this top 10 list, I couldn't choose between these two groups because they are equal to me. And those two groups are Cypress Hill and Naughty by Nature. Now, there's a part of me that thought, man, is Cypress Hill and Naughty by Nature, are they ahead of Bone? They're very close. They're very close. I mean, in fact, Naughty by Nature's Poverty's Paradise beat out E.1999 Eternal for one of the awards. I think it was one of the Grammys. But Bone's got more hits than... Naughty by Nature were so big for a small amount of songs. Their hits were humongous and are still legendary, timeless classics today, like OPP, Hip Hop Hooray, Feel Me Flow, Uptown Anthem, The Craziest. But outside of that, there's no Naughty by Nature album that's a just push play the way Eternal is. There's no Naughty by Nature album that feels iconic the way E.1999 Eternal or Art of War were. And that would also make you say, well, then what about Cypress Hill? Well, Cypress Hill, Black Sunday at the time was one of the biggest rap albums to ever happen at the time. It's been surpassed, but Black Sunday is one of the most iconic rap albums of all time. And that, along with The Chronic, at the same time period, are responsible for the shift in public attitude towards marijuana. Cypress Hill has a cult following, much like Bones, but I think Bones' cult following might be bigger than Cypress Hill's. But I'm acknowledging that Cypress and Naughty, they feel like they should be top 10 groups all the time. And also, when I say Cypress Hill, to me, that includes House of Pain, the Soul Assassins, Mellow Man Ace, Funk Dubious, and like that whole rest of satellite groups with DJ Muggs and all that. Psycho Realm, whatever other ones I forgot. There's been so many over the years. But I don't know who's better. It's kind of like, to me, Cypress Hill and Naughty by Nature are trying to determine if Randy Moss or Terrell Owens are better. It's like you just have to put them as 10A and 10B. And for T.O. and Randy Moss, it's 2A and 2B behind the legendary Jerry Rice. But now, to show you what some other options that crossed my mind for the top 10 ahead of Bone, here's my number 11 through 25. So the top 25. So number 11, I have Eric B. and Rakim, which, it's really hard to say that they're not in the top 10. But the reason why I don't have them in top 10 is that they don't have a super smash cross genre, that goes outside of hip hop. Like Eric B. and Rakim are hip hop, but like Naughty by Nature, everybody was singing Hip Hop Hooray. That could be in commercials. And same with Cypress Hill. Everybody knows Insane in the Brain. Now hip hoppers know Eric B. and Rakim, and their four albums. And their first four albums were flawless and even more impressive. I don't know if you guys know this. Do you know that the four Eric B. and Rakim albums, there are no explicit lyrics on any of the albums, which is remarkable. But to show the homage to Eric B. and Rakim, I have them first there at number 11. There are arguments to be made that they should bump somebody out of that top 10. But Eric B. and Rakim are very much like EPMD to me, which you'll see there is listed at number 12. It's remarkable how many albums EPMD have sold, but how little they are known outside of hip-hop. They're legends amongst hip-hoppers. But I don't know if EPMD is top 10 all time for a group, but they are certainly up there. And to hand it to EPMD, I nominate EPMD for the group that kept it the most real of all time. They came up with the song The Crossover, which was like a political statement about the state of hip hop at the time. It was a line in the sand. And I really think that song needs to be examined and written about more as to what impact that had on hip hop culture at the time, with feelings that are still felt to this day. At 13, I have Mobb Deep. Mobb Deep is very hip-hop iconic, and some could argue that they should be in the top 10, but I don't know. I mean, Shook Ones is one of the greatest rap songs of all time, might be the greatest instrumental for hip-hop of all time, but I have them at least in the top 20. Number 14, you got Ghetto Boys as the conglomerate of the group and the solos. Some would say Ghetto Boys belong in the top 10, but I'd say 14 is a very generous spot for them. 15, this one might be a little bit high, Boogie Down Productions, and that's the conglomerate. So KRS-One solos, D-Nice solos, and everything else that came out of it. KRS-One's had his hand in so much of hip-hop. He's actually the writer and crafter of much of the hip-hop narrative that people believe to this day. He's always been the teacher. The impact that BDP and KRS-One have had, whether you like them or not, they are significant, and they're definitely in the top 25. Number 16, I got Cash Money, which would mean the Hot Boys and the Big Timers, and obviously the solos, even though this is for groups, but I'm just saying Cash Money has had an impact on the industry with, today, or Lil Wayne at one point was the top rapper in the whole game. Juvenile had that spot for a period of time. Big Timers did big things. Hot Boys did big things. The song Bling Bling, the title, became the first hip hop phrase to make it into a dictionary. At 17, No Limit, just meaning the conglomerate. 18, 3-6 Mafia, the conglomerate. 19, the Fugees, the conglomerate. Number 20, Def Squad, the conglomerate. Actually, we're going to free up that spot. The Def Squad would be included with EPMD, and in ways Redman could be included with the Wu-Tang. So we're going to switch number 20 to the Fat Boys. The Fat Boys' impact is understated by today's standards. But after Run DMC, the Fat Boys were the second rap group I've ever seen to appear on MTV at a time when rap music wasn't really accepted by the majority of Americans. Additionally, there was a big-time rap movie called Crush Groove that the Fat Boys were in it, and they stole the show. And there were big names in this movie. Run DMC, LL Cool J, well, LL had a small role, Curtis Blow, Sheila E. And the thing that the people remembered most, that loved the most, was all the scenes starring the Fat Boys. And it was such a big thing that the Fat Boys parlayed that into their own feature-length movie called The Disorderlies. That's how big they were. They had a movie before New Jack City, before Boys in the Hood. The Disorderlies, I can't remember if Disorderlies came before or after Run DMC's Tougher Than Leather movie. But that's the magnitude that they were at, was they got their own movie. And as I was saying with being on MTV, so Run DMC and Aerosmith's Walk This Way was a gigantic moment for rap music. That put rap on the map, that made rap mainstream. The follow-up song, the second biggest thing to happen, was the Fat Boys with the Beach Boys doing Wipeout, which was a song by the Safaris. Some guys say in the 80s, you basically had Run DMC, LL Cool J, the Beastie Boys, and the Fat Boys, and that was it. There were other groups, but essentially, those were the big four. 21, the Flavor Unit MCs. So you got Queen Latifah in there, obviously Apache, Black Sheep, Channel Live, Chill Rob G, The 45 King, Freddie Fox, Lakim Shabazz, Latif, DJ C Justice, Lord Alabaski, Naughty by Nature, which made it in the top 10. So maybe these guys, maybe we'd add this to Naughty by Nature's crew. Nikki D, The Rowdy Roz, Storm P, and John A. So I don't know. I think, you know what? We're going to include the Flavor Unit with Naughty by Nature's induction, which would mean that Queen Latifah theoretically is part of the Hall of Fame. She should be somewhere down the line. Queen Latifah's impact was enormous, which means we got to replace that number 21. And I'm going to do the most preposterous, blasphemous thing ever, but I got some reasoning behind it. I'm going to say DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. It sounds nuts, but let me tell you a piece of trivia you might not know. Do you know the first rap Grammy went to DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince? It was for the album He's the DJ, I'm the Rapper. It included the famous song Parents Just Don't Understand. That song was enormous. That song brought rap to so many more people. It was the first Grammy. He wasn't even Will Smith yet. He was just Fresh Prince. And if you think about the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, was like the first hip-hop sitcom on primetime television. So to deny Will Smith Fresh Prince his due in the top 25 is silly. Not only that, the Will Smith solo albums were huge. That song Miami, Getting Jiggy With It, Wild Wild West, even though that song was kind of corny, but he had a string of major singles and hits. His albums were, I think they were all platinum. On top of that, he had other albums. So there was 4 DJ Jazzy Jeff Fresh Prince albums. There was Rock the House, He's the DJ, I'm the Rapper, and In This Corner, and then Home Base. And Home Base had Summertime. Summertime's a huge hit. And then actually there was a 5th album called Code Red. So there was 5 DJ Jazzy Jeff Fresh Prince albums. And then there was, I forgot the one that had Getting Jiggy With It on it. And then Millennium. And then he had a bunch of albums. So yeah, I think DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince belong there. As crazy as that sounds, if you look at Will Smith's body of work and all the movies he was in and all that, he is one of the top 5 most successful rap artists of all time for their career. You know, you got LL Cool J, Ice-T, Will Smith, Ludacris, Queen Latifah, and then the billionaires Dr. Dre, Jay-Z, and 50 Cent. Number 22, you got UGK. 23, De La Soul. Now, many have De La Soul in the top 10. I'm leaving them here, but we could just say the Native Tongues, which also include Queen Latifah as well. So she's in 2 big crews. But De La Soul, Native Tongues, also with Tribe Called Quest, part of Native Tongues. I think it's all conglomerate, but De La Soul is big enough to be on its own. But we could just call us Native Tongues and include the Black Sheep and Jungle Brothers. At number 24, 2 Live Crew, which means the conglomerate, which extends to Poison Clan, JT Money, the Luke Solos, Trick Daddy, and everything else, the Home Team, everything that spawned out of 2 Live Crew and Luke Records. At number 25, I have Onyx. The impact that Onyx had, Slam, is forgotten about how big that song was and what that did for society. Changed the course of music. And I had to do some honorable mentions. Crisscross, the Hieroglyphics Crew, Brand Nubian, which I've seen Brand Nubian put in the top 25. I think that's a stretch. Gangstar, I could see how maybe they might make number 25, but if it was between Onyx and Gangstar, I think Onyx. You got Black Moon, MOP, Camp Low, 8-Ball and JG, The Far Side, The Roots, and Houdini. Also just want to acknowledge the Sugar Hill Gang, the Cold Crush Brothers, Treacherous 3. And, you know, depending on what era you're from or where you're from, you're going to have objections to the order and to the list. Now, do you have any of those groups ahead of Bone Thugs and Harmony? And if you do, make your case. And when you make your case, just remember what I've quantified. 9 platinum albums, 4 gold albums, 4 platinum singles, 6 gold singles, 2 songs that weren't gold or platinum that everybody knows, like Notorious Thugs and For the Love of Money. All those artists they did songs with, 200 plus albums, 300 plus music videos, 2,000 plus songs. You got to be able to outdo that. Your argument has to top that. Now, there was a forum that showed some criteria that I guess Bone would need to achieve to be considered for the Hall of Fame. And it's a Rolling Stone 500 albums, which Bone has that. E.1999 Eternal is on that list. I think it's like 171. Rolling Stone 500 songs. You could bet that Crossroads is somewhere in there. Making the Rolling Stone cover. I don't know if they ever made the Rolling Stone cover. Saturday Night Live, they were scheduled to play it, but I think Busy backed out of it. Major festival headliner. I mean, somewhere down the line, maybe. I don't know. Songwriters Hall of Fame. Not sure. Big 4 Grammys. Well, they got 2 Grammys and they got 2 American Music Awards and a couple others. So this is the 5th video in this series and the 10th video of the Case for Bone Thugs and Harmony playlist. Through this series, have I made the case for Bone Thugs and Harmony to achieve Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee status and be considered in the top 10 groups of all time? And if you don't think Bone is on the top 10 or someone else should be considered before Bone for the Hall of Fame, who would you have? And like I said, remember the criteria that I presented. You got to come with at least that. And if you're a Bone fan, get this playlist series into the hands of the people who could make this happen for us. Myself and members of the Skull and Crossroads Society, we've compiled this information to make our case. And if needed, we can put our brains together and compile any additional information needed for the cause. We have the best Bone fan brains in our club. And also, man, if you've made it this far in this video, Can Beyond the Harmony get its props for putting in the work, keeping the spirit of Bone fandom alive? We're just asking for a little LOVE and some RESPECT on the name for what we've brought to the culture. So I believe this video concludes the series on the case for Bone Thugs-n-Harmony. You could check out the entire playlist at the link. And on behalf of everyone at Beyond the Harmony and the Skull and Crossroads Society, I am Jonathan Lippy, and we will catch you next time.